All right, here we go. DC and the Sunshine Man, Friday night. We got Willie getting some food down. Got the big jug of water.
I do.
We got Coke in here. He's got his Mercedes. He's a loyal guy. He's got his Mercedes shirt on. He's ready to go.
Oh, I do. Okay.
Yeah. I was like, you don't even know you had it on. He's a walking signage. You had no idea.
You know, I'm always having to rep Perfect brand.
There you go. What were you just? What are you chowing down on, Willie?
I got a little stir fry of shrimp, chicken, onions, jalapeno pepper.
Damn.
That's it. It's just actually leftover protein from earlier from my post-workout meal.
I ate better than you did last night.
You did?
I went to Barry's Prime with some friends.
Oh, nice.
And it was great. It was terrific. First time I've eaten there because I haven't, I just started going out again. And that was a good meal. Fantastic meal. We started with a huge seafood platter. I had Dover sole.
Nice.
There were steaks galore at the table. Desserts. Phenomenal service. I recommend you check it out. And then so I had a Derek Stevens while you're there. He was at the bar, and it was good to see Derek again.
Barry's a good guy. Barry Dukaki. He came in and he was the chef at 9 at the Palms.
Yep.
Used to go in there often.
Was that one of your places, Dave? 9?
Occasionally. Excellent. But of course, nothing in that building is open right now. So
yeah, that's a good point. Willie, I DM'd you the YouTube link if you want it on.
I got it
on Twitter.
I'm about to post it.
Dave was the $300,000 man wasn't hanging out, was he? Kazarian.
I did not see Doug.
Yeah, you saw that he hit a big draft prop.
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, he got a bunch of attention from Ravel.
Oh,
and yeah, he it looks like he kind of caught poor labeling on a bet and took advantage of it, and it hit. So
winner's a winner. That's a big winner.
If the sports book's not paying attention, and this wasn't one of those really cheating, because obviously it was still a risk. It was I think it was 100 to 1 or something, or 80 to 1. But basically, a guy that most people reference as a corner was listed as a safety, and I guess it was first safety selected, and he was actually a corner, but they put him as a safety, so he was selected first. So DK won.
Good for Doug. That's great.
Well, I mean, it is part of if you're gonna prop bet, you got to shop, right? And while someone's gonna books can make mistakes.
Yeah, and it is unless it's some kind of a computer glitch. I mean, the book's responsible.
Nice, Dave. When you go out, do you ever play credit card roulette?
No. Like I'm gonna let somebody know what's on my credit card.
No. Here, credit card roulette is. You go to a meal, say there's 6 or 8 of you. You all throw your credit card into a hat.
Oh, that okay.
Whoever has a credit card pulled last is the one who pays.
No, it's usually pretty much decided beforehand. We're either going to split or it's decided who's paying beforehand.
Willie?
Usually the person who does the inviting is picking up the tab.
Never. I'm same as Dave. It's if you either know that everybody's grabbing their own tab or ahead of time who's paying.
We do it every year around our fantasy football league because Saran Petro comes to town and a bunch of his buddies come to town. So we go get a couple of big dinners. Petro's he's such a lunatic and he bullies people. That's what he likes to do. You see it on Wednesday, everybody, when he's on. So he'll be able to get half the group or 8, out of 12 people, put in the credit cards, and he's never lost. I think he's never lost in 13 dinners, and I haven't lost once in 13 dinners. So when I do lose, it's gonna be I already got 13 free dinners, so I can't.
That's not bad.
No, believe me, I've got a good end of it because we had one person one weekend. I think they lost both nights.
Oh, that's rough. That's a bad beat.
That is a bad beat.
What's been the most most substantial tab?
We don't go crazy. This is not a and the other thing is all 12 people won't go in. It's usually 7 or 8 of the 12. Probably the worst was 900. Yeah. So no one.
That's not horrible.
No one's getting hit for 1,500, 2,000.
Our old horse's ass contest, we had some pretty big ones.
Well, going in, someone's got to pay, right? So then you run it up on them. Or do you have a limit?
Well, we always went to expensive places anyway, so it didn't matter. I mean, you could order chicken and it was going to be $40. So
Dave doesn't order chicken. I guarantee you that.
No.
You're like, fuck that.
No, I don't know. I can't recall the last time I ate in a real nice restaurant and ordered chicken. That might be a never.
I don't blame you. That might be a never.
Well, now there are exceptions though, because if it's lunch,
yeah,
Joe's has phenomenal fried chicken.
That's a good point.
It's great.
Now, Dave, have you ever had? I'm very intrigued, and I may go. I haven't decided yet, but have you ever done the Tomahawk Tuesday at Fleming's?
I'm not. I know I'm familiar with it, but I'm not. That's too much steak for me.
Well, I didn't know if you'd
It's like 30. It's like a 32-ounce steak.
Yeah. No, I didn't know if you went. Like I've been to Echo and Rig, and we've gone. Now there's a place, and here's a perfect example. You talk about ordering chicken. I've gone to Echo and Rig with a group, my son, his friend, whatever. We've gone for somebody's birthday, whatever it may be, and his a very close friend of his used to work there. So if he came to dinner, the entire meal was 50% off.
Oh,
And
wow.
we would all get an entree of something other than steak, and then we order the tomahawk for the center of the table, and then cut it, and we'd share the tomahawk. So that would kind of be like you order the appetizer, you get every appetizer, and Echo and Riggs got phenomenal appetizers, and then you get the tomahawk for the middle of the table. So yeah, I didn't know if you had done that and shared it. We used to do that at the 9. We used to get the lob tail for the middle of the table, and they when it came out, it wasn't like on top of the shell. They cut it in medallions.
Yeah.
They were thick pieces of thick medallions. It was incredible. It's like $150, $200 lob tail, and then they had the small or the large fish. The appetizer, shellfish appetizer, we used to call it the Wimbledon cup because it was this big silver cup, and it was shaved ice with the different, and that was like $50 or $80. And back then they were giving sports players points. As you know, Dave, that's unheard of. It's usually horse players. But that first year, they were giving sports players.
Where was that at?
At the Palm.
Oh, wow.
Palms
Yeah.
Hotel. That's when Perry Swanson was running it. Jeff Sherman was over there with him at the time. So
Nice. I feel like Dave's
What's the latest on that place?
Yeah, what is going on there?
I haven't heard. Our gym is right down the street from there, but I don't even know what's going on with the Palms. If it's open, if places are open, or what the deal is.
It's weird. Just driving by and seeing the empty parking lot.
Rick, interesting. Save that question when we talk about fights. Rick 2828 2001 is asking about we're going to talk about that fight because I'm covering it for the Associated Press tomorrow.
Adam said they're keeping the name and reopening at the Palms. So when? Do we know when? I saw that three of my favorite local joints, probably not Dave's types of places, but they're not going to open for a while. They actually got a stay on opening. It was both of the Fiestas and also Texas Station not going to open for a while. So, which that's not good.
I didn't know they were closed.
They've been closed. Yeah, they've been closed forever. And
I didn't know that.
I think Texas.
One of the two next to is not opening, right?
I don't know if I just know right now they don't have to open. They needed to apply, for more time, and one was like, not. They have until the end of the year to make a decision, and I think two or another one they have all the way until June of next year, so that's not a good sign. So they'll open eventually. Yeah, Texas for a while was a COVID testing center, or maybe a shot center now.
Yeah, it was definitely a testing center.
Yeah, they could have had some fun with that. Do a slot machine thing, and if you get 3 fruits, you get your shot. And otherwise, you just have to keep on putting tokens in until you get a winner.
Ohio's doing a lottery, and it's working.
Yeah, saw that.
Vaccinated, you're in the lottery, and only vaccinated people have a chance at I think it was like 5 different $1 million prizes.
Not
And a
bad,
bunch
huh?
and a bunch of scholarships too for kids that were 12 to 17 who got vaccinated. It worked. People went and got vaccinated. So
I'll bet
whatever
they
works.
did.
Yep. Oh, Willie, before we get to the baseball, let's just jump into the boxing for tomorrow, and then also what was announced the last couple of days for possibly Vegas in the summer. So what's going on tomorrow? What's this fight?
Well, it's being billed as the fight of the first half of the year, and quite possibly could end up being the fight of the year. Josh Taylor against Jose Ramirez for the unifying the middleweight division, I believe. And
That's 140. It's 140. It's junior welterweight. Yeah,
junior welters.
Yeah.
So I didn't get a chance to go out to the pre-fight presser. I had asked a couple, and they said the way that they're handling it. I mean, it's so quick compared to the pressers that Dave and I used to go to. I mean, where we'd be out there for 2 hours. I put it up on YouTube, and before I knew it was over. Then I started watching some of the specials that they do, the hype shows, the build up, and man, I got to tell you, I've always been sort of read into their facial expressions, their mannerisms, their just read into their eyes, and something just told me. I mean, immediately texted Sam Gordon from the Review Journal because I think he's covering it. He was out there. That it just looked like Taylor was in Ramirez's head. I mean, he was jawing at him during the face-off. Ramirez didn't want to have any part of it. Now, today at the weigh-ins, they did go at it, and it looked like they went at it in a back hallway, and it became heated. But, I said this yesterday. I said, man, this guy's he's in his head big time. I mean, he's talking a lot of game, and he's very confident. Ramirez is sort of subdued, and I'm not sure if he's just keeping his mouth shut. One of those, hey, and I'm not familiar with their bouts. I actually, one of the things I planned on doing after the show is watching a couple of more of the episodes that highlight their fights, and then tomorrow watching some of their stuff online leading up to it. So it's sort of fresh in my head. But then today, watching it, Taylor was on one of the highlight videos from on Top Ranked videos that they put together. It's a hype video, but he had said, "I'm in his head. I know it. I can see it in his eyes, so on and so forth." So I'm looking forward to a good fight. And if I was going to lean one way, I mean, just from what I saw, what I'm watching, what I'm reading, I like Taylor.
Yeah, Taylor's minus 215, so he's a pretty decent side favorite. Not massive. Back to the boxing here in a second. A couple of follow-ups on the Palms. So the Palms was sold, and it was sold to potentially finance the Durango station that they're going to build on the Sunset Curve. So that property's had that sign on there for like who knows how long, 12 years. So, that's an interesting spot for a casino, because I think that area of the valley, there hasn't been a casino down there ever, right? You have to drive to Red Rock or the Orleans to pick up those folks. And yeah, the San Manuel tribe bought the Palms, and then Adam's saying here that it's going to take like 6 to 8 months. 16 years. Okay. 6 to 9 months for Nevada approval, and then the Palms will reopen. So that'll be cool.
So extreme southwest is where you're talking. Sunset Curve. When you said Sunset Curve,
yeah, Sunset Curve. So it's Durango and 215, which is a super populated area, and there's still room to build. And there's obviously a lot of corporate stuff down there. The UFC headquarters is just up the road. So
go for that Rhodes Ranch crowd.
Oh yeah, the Rhodes. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it's not far from me.
Yep. You don't go to casinos though, Dave, do you? Outside of going to restaurants here and there?
Not really.
No. Never play the slots?
I mean, it's been so long, I can't remember the last time. Once in a while. Well, yeah, I used to go once in a great while and amuse myself. But, but it was generally if I was going to get a sandwich late at night or something like that. But it doesn't hold much. It doesn't hold much interest to me.
By the way, I was going to react to Brady. I don't think it's too close to Red Rock. So it's there's such a huge population down there on that curve.
Red Rock's in Summerlin.
Well, I mean, it's you shoot right up to 215, but still, it's a totally different neighborhood.
No, there's no such thing as too close to each other anyway.
It's
not. I mean, if you
you're right.
If you run a good store,
you're
gonna get business.
And the Gold Coast and the Palms, Rio, too close to each other.
Dave, where's your sandwich spot? What's your?
Oh, I don't know. I don't have any particular sandwich spot.
Uh,
I thought you were talking about. Well, you have a. What's your cold cut spot? Is that a North?
Well, if I'm going to get my own deli, then I'll go to Roma Deli.
Roma Deli.
But
there was a great sandwich joint down on Trop and Pecos. Remember Deli 300?
No.
That was back in. That was.
Where's
It's not
it?
there anymore. It's not there anymore. No, I don't even think they're around. They're called. It was called Deli 300. They had like 300 different sandwiches. It was. They made a good sandwich.
Really? 300. Yeah. 7 sinful subs. Sinful subs is pretty good.
Oh, is Seven Simple? Isn't that a Victor Moet's joint?
I don't know. Maybe, but I know Brian from Jackson's. Is owner of that. So I don't know. I forget. I don't know if he has the same. He had a celebrity chef, but I don't know if he's still involved.
That's him. Then Vic Moet actually. Vic Moet moved out here. He's friends with my mom. He came. They're from New York, and then his son played football at Green Valley. But we were family friends, and then he was on the Food Network. Vegas Vic. He was all tatted up.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah,
that's him.
Yeah,
that's him.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's still in, but you're right. That's him. They started it together.
Good family. His father was actually Jordan, my son's godfather.
Okay.
And he was a barber in a barber shop underneath the Mark V high-rise apartments on Paradise.
Yeah.
Is it not Paradise?
Right.
Desert Inn Road, where Joe Pignatello's Vesuvio was. And if you remember Dominic Spinelli, he used to go in there, and Vic used to cut his hair. Do you remember Dominic Spinelli, Dave? Spinelli was a New England bookmaker. He's in the Black Book, and he was part of Spilatro's crew.
Oh,
and he ended up in the Black Book. Yeah, he's one of the people in the Black Book. But he was a bookmaker. But he's in the Black Book for counting cards. He was a major card counter, and he was really good at what he did. So
how many people are in the Black Book?
I think it's still in the 20s. I don't think it's. I think it's.
That's quite the honor to be one of the people in the 20s.
Let me look it up.
So Dave, I was talking about the boxing. We might have Wilder and Fury 3. Wilder basically went legal route to make sure that Fury didn't fight Joshua first. So that's tentatively scheduled July 24th here, and then it was announced that Pacquiao was going to fight Errol Spence, which the fight might be a terrible fight, but it'll be a big draw. So those would be 2 big weekends. Do you guys think either one of those fights can justify a date at Allegiant? Do you think they should be in the stadium, or is that overkill?
No, I don't think they're big enough.
No
Even Fury and
I don't.
problem is
think,
Fury and Wilder fought already fought a couple times.
Yeah, and Fury's going to be a pretty good sized favorite.
He's going to kill him.
No, I can't think of any boxing event that belongs in Allegiant.
No.
Fury Joshua. I mean, the problem is that you're better served having
sell 50,000 tickets.
Hey, you don't think so?
No.
Trying to think what they last couple fights they had to do 40 grand plus for what was the last fight at the Jerry Dome. I thought they had a pretty big crowd. The problem is
how many of the tickets they give away.
That's the thing is how many, and the tickets are so cheap. Are you just better off jamming 17,000 in or 18,000 into T-Mobile or the MGM, and then every ticket is freaking hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars, if not in excess of 1,000.
Yeah, they're not.
Well,
is there already talks of? Is there already talks? I'm sure Adam knows the answer to this. Is there already talks of UFC being in Allegiant at some point? Some massive UFC event.
What's the fight? That's the problem.
That's what I'm saying. Some massive.
What number is UFC on right now?
Oh, it's a good point.
Something.
265 or 260.
So maybe 300.
Well, I was thinking the way they do them often enough. I'm thinking like UFC 500 now. That would be some kind of a monster event, and I don't know, maybe a couple of years down the road, and maybe that's where they do it.
Right now Dana White won't make the fight with John Jones and Francis Ngannou, and no one really knows. On the big level, they don't know who Ngannou is, And beyond that, McGregor's lost some luster. He's still a giant draw. He's still going to do a big event July 10th here. But the fact that he got knocked off, I don't know that he could get 40 or 50,000. And it was a great point brought up by Rick. If international travel is cut down, well, then how are we going to get all these Brits or Irishmen over here?
Yeah, very good point.
And Adam mentions they're also contractually obligated to make sure they do a certain number of pay-per-views at T-Mobile.
I think that's a big enough fight venue. I don't know. To me, Ali Frazier, that would have been a good fight for a Allegiant Stadium. Let me know when boxing has something of that kind, and it doesn't even have to be that kind of magnitude because that was enormous. But they don't have any names in boxing.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
They have to be super fights.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're gonna have to have cross division fights where you got two guys who are on a run.
I mean, listen, it's not boxing people are excited, I guess, about Pacquiao Spence.
Yeah.
Casual fans? They don't even know who else. Casual fans probably don't even know who Errol Spence is and think that Pacquiao's like 50, which he almost is.
The majority of responses I've seen all day to that fight being named is most people are hoping that Spence just sends him into retirement and just puts an end to this.
Well,
and gets
okay,
it over with.
The fight will go to a decision. It's actually, I mean, I don't even follow the sport that much anymore, but at least I know those two guys. That's a 12-round fight, and it'll probably be close. And after the fight, everybody say, "Well, that was boring." Yeah, well, you should have known that going in. That's from a style standpoint. It's a lousy fight.
I mean, I was just blanking on the fight at the Jerry Dome. It was actually Canelo a couple weeks ago, and even though a lot of people weren't paying attention to him and Billy Joe Saunders, and he wound up killing him, they did get 73,000 at the Jerry Dome. Now I'll have to look up the gate to see what it was. So I guess if there's some dream matchup for Canelo against someone,
that might do it.
Maybe they could put it in there.
Yeah.
And Pacquiao in his heyday probably could have, but he's not in his heyday.
Listen, if Pacquiao Mayweather had taken place when it was supposed to take place, they couldn't have found a building with enough seats. But the fight took place 5 years after it was supposed to take place, and that is boxing in microcosm. Is an absolutely incredible fight between two guys in their prime. Never took place. They were
part of the reason. Yeah, it's part of the reason why they are where they are right now.
Yeah.
Pissed away opportunities to have them in their prime face each other 2 or 3 times.
Oh, Mayweather would have been a good fight there.
Brady could be on to something. I think it would have to be a work though. What if something crazy did happen in this Mayweather exhibition against this Logan Paul, and Paul cracked him and actually caught him and knocked him out? Could they do Logan Paul Mayweather 2?
I still think
at Allegiant.
No, because first of all, it's an exhibition. Second of all, Floyd is how old?
He's going to be 45. Okay. He's going to kill him. He's going to dance around him. He's going to peck him to death. But I'm just saying, if the incredible happened or it was a work and Paul actually knocked him out, they could probably do a rematch here. I don't think that's going to happen, but that's where we are now. Like, it has to be like basically wrestling or some sort of bizarro fantasy fight to get 60,000 people in Vegas to pay Vegas prices.
My guess is it's not really the fight game, but we'll put it in that classification anyway. Some big wrestling event. Yeah, there you go.
Well, SummerSlam, WWE SummerSlam is coming this summer, and my guess is that they will try. I would guess they would try the stadium.
Yeah, why not? They might get the fans because they know what they're doing.
Yep.
And I mean, I don't know anything about it, but it's incredibly successful.
Oh, yeah.
And what do they got? Like 85 TV shows a week. I mean, it's just everywhere. So yeah, that might fill the place.
We'll probably get their biggest deal, WrestleMania.
Yeah, WrestleMania would definitely fill it. I could see them returning. What I think I can't remember what number came here. 3. See, the WrestleMania came to Caesars Outdoor Stadium.
So there you go.
It's all about the promotion.
Yeah,
and that that company does a phenomenal job with their promotion. They've made stars, superstars out of their personnel.
It was WrestleMania 9 that came here, and then I'm just Googling here and says that WWE frontrunner city for future WrestleMania is Las Vegas. WWE was reportedly looking at WrestleMania in Las Vegas.
Sure.
But
it's a perfect place to hold it. But they'll sell out anything.
Yeah.
You could put it in Green Bay in the middle of January and it would sell out.
It really would.
Yeah.
And there'd be nuts out there pulling off their shirt.
Yep. That's it's brilliant promotion. I don't have to be interested in something myself to know that it's, I can't tell you anybody who is in wrestling. I know nothing about it, but people love it. So
yeah, well,
that's great.
We built the stadium. We want money. If there's going to be 75,000 people in town for an event, then let's do it. I don't care who they are. So bring all the wrestling fans. They have disposable income just like everyone else. Maybe not as much, but I'm sure they have a lot actually, because those events aren't super cheap. So I wanted to ask you guys. Let's go back to last night with the Golden Knights. Dave, what were you thinking middle of the game? Not really middle. Well, after the first period, my God, that was bad.
I didn't see it. I saw most of the first period, and they were down 2-0, and it's like, ew, this isn't very good. And then we went into dinner, and I think I checked the score at one point on the phone, and it's like they'd gone ahead 3-2. It's like, wow, they came back and went ahead. I did watch the replay when I got home late, and they absolutely killed Minnesota over the last two periods of that game. It ended up with an enormous margin in shots. That was a really impressive performance. And Fleury, as usual, made some really important saves to keep them in the game early. And then they got the offside to disallow the third goal, which was huge. Props to the video team. And that was a big turnaround. Great win for the Golden Knights.
Yeah, that was the key point. I was texting with a couple of people, and that third goal went in. I said, "Game over. That's it. That's pack it in." And then when they disallowed it, I followed back. I said, "Oh man, that is gonna. You watch. It's gonna trigger the Golden Knights now." And it was. I mean, it's somewhat deflating. You have this. You're on this run. You're up 2-0. It looks like you're going to be up 3-0 with the dagger in the first period. And then it gets taken away, and it just breathes new life because at that point, you done pissed Fleury off, and you didn't get the goal because it was obvious, it was offsides. And how quick the replay team, they didn't even barely look. I mean, they just knew it was a done deal, and the Golden Knights took advantage of the momentum from there.
I knew what had taken place when I watched the replay later in the evening, but I mean, even live, you knew it was probably offside, and it was. Yeah.
So I mean, and they and like Dave said, they dominated from there, and they played exceptional, and once again, and the attack and the execution that they put forth once again without Pacioretty, it just makes you wonder, if and when he comes back and when he's available, what's going to take place. But
needs to be soon, because they really do miss him. Brown did step up and played a heck of a game last night. AJ makes a very good observation. I think DeBoer pulls Fleury after one period as well if they go off 3-0, because at that point you may as well give him 40 minutes off and have him fresh for the next game. And
not only that, if they go up 3-0 and the goal is good, because when Fleury when he's rattled, it's just the rest of the team gets it's sort of a domino effect, and who knows where the score is going from there. There's no guarantee that it's going to be 3-0. It could have been 4-0 at that point because but it's not. Yeah, and
now it's 2 games to 1, and they're in good shape. Not to say the Wild aren't going to lay down. I mean, this fourth game tomorrow should be something.
Now, I was a little shocked, even though there was no optional nothing, but they got the day off today. They weren't practicing. I was just a little bit shocked just because you're on the road in a place that you hadn't won in regulation, and you're giving them the day off, but you sort of want to keep a little bit of that energy, a little bit of that grit, a little bit of that hunger. Now you give them the day off. I might understand that if you're at home, but on the road.
No, I completely agree with it. It was a trying week for the Golden Knights because you can't tell me there wasn't some distraction with all the false positives that came rolling in. They had to travel and then play a difficult game. And there's not that much they need to practice at this point. It's basically just stay sharp. So day off sounds like a good idea to me. Go out, maybe play some golf if it was a nice day there, or just hang out. And you want your team as fresh as possible at this point. The coaching staff, I guarantee you the coaching staff didn't take the day off.
I asked Martinez and Holden that during the press conference today. I asked Holden, which they were actually very entertaining. If you guys go to their web, I'm sure the Golden Knights official site has the videos from today's press conference. They were actually entertaining and funny today, Holden and Martinez. But I had asked that question, just would you rather? And and I said, hey, I'm not trying to say that you don't deserve a day off. Trust me, with the truncated season and everything that you guys have been through on this trip, so on and so forth. And they had said, no, we'll take the rest any way we can get it, and come back tomorrow for morning skate and so on and so forth. So, I just wanted to know if they want to get the work in. They did say that they'll get some work in at the hotel, which I found interesting. I think was it Martinez or Holden? I don't remember if Martinez jumped in, but Holden answered the question. But they said that they'll find a way to get some work in, whether it's stretching or lifting or cardio or conditioning, just to keep the adrenaline flowing, keep the muscles, loose. I want to tighten up in between, no lactic acid buildup type of stuff. So, but yeah, other than that, I think they're going to come in focused, and I think the confidence level is going to run high now, because now that whole not winning in regulation, that little stigma there is gone, and it's a matter of coming out. I mean, everybody's asked Pete DeBoer the same question at some point in the last 6 weeks, one time per press conference. How important is it to get a fast start? And it's so, I mean, at this point, I think we all know that. But last night they showed that it didn't matter, because they responded. They showed their resiliency. So it's just it's really how I think how Minnesota responds, and how the Golden Knights defend it and attack. And if we see Pacioretty, the other day he said that it was a game time decision when they asked if he was on the trip, but he never acknowledged if he was on the trip. So I think that's what everybody's wondering, is if he's even on the trip.
I think he is on the trip, as far as I know, but that doesn't mean he's ready to play yet. I was told what the injury was, and I've forgotten whether it was a toe or an ankle. I think it might be a toe, and you pretty much can't skate with a toe.
You can't do anything if it's a broken toe. You can't do anything for a broken toe.
I don't think it's broken.
Yeah, most toes you just have to leave, and they have to heal on their own.
Yep.
So what's the deal with the power play?
Well, it hasn't been much good all year.
Yep.
It's something that I don't know. Yeah, I'm sure they work at it. It just hasn't clicked for some reason. 5-on-5 is more important. It'd be nice if they could have a great power play, but it's just not the strength of the team. They're like 21st, 22nd in the league. It's been below average all season. And I don't think that's going to change.
I think it went on one stretch, and that was it. And I believe, and Adam asked about it going into the playoffs. He had asked the boys, or maybe it was right after a win, but he was just asking, how important is it to get that thing going, not to, sour on winning, or I can't remember how he worded it, but I know Adam asked DeBoer about that, and how important it was to get it going for the postseason. It's one thing to have your penalty kill be ranked number one and be solid there, but it'd be nice to see them take advantage. I mean, what were they, 0 for 6 yesterday? It was after the finale in San Jose. That's right, the 6-0 win. So I think they went 0 for 6 yesterday with the power play.
I was going to
And
say,
again, and another piece to the puzzle on the power play is Pacioretty.
Oh, very important piece.
Yeah, so
Look, he's the best sniper on the team. So the sooner they can get him back, the better it is. But, you know, sometimes you just have to do without, and they have to right now. And great teams get through that stuff.
the only thing, and you can't really look back and go, well, what if? But the one thing that I believe that if DeBoer could do over, you know, most coaches are going to say, no, that's what I decided, so on and so forth. Is I don't think that he would have started Nosek with Stone and Stevenson on the first line in game one. He would have put Tuck in if he could have foresaw, because when we asked him that after the game, you know, in terms of the decision, or, you know, what he saw, if he liked what he saw once he made the move. So that he actually addressed something, because I think I asked the question. He addressed, which something that I didn't necessarily ask. He just said, well, in Nosek's defense, he has been injured. Okay, well, then if you know that, what, you know, why I just didn't understand. You took a fourth line center and you put it with your top line with Mark Stone and Chandler Stevenson, which kind of just it didn't make sense. And to spark what, I don't know, you know. So, and then he made the move. And if it would have done something, that's, you know, you go to overtime, you lose 1-0.
Sometimes sometimes the moves don't work. Sometimes they do. I mean, if Brown, he was huge last night. Huge. Guy hasn't played in a month.
No.
Okay. And that was a great coaching decision to get him in there. And he might have been, you know, his presence might well have been the biggest factor in the game.
Starting the fourth line is not as it's
happens
not
all the time.
Yeah, it's not as big a deal. The one thing I think that Justin Emerson kind of pointed this out, I believe it was him, was that I think on Twitter, where they were doing a good job, what Minnesota was doing a good job of was getting their top line on the ice at the same time. It doesn't necessarily mean because they started it, and I sort of understand it. Someone else made a comment here about don't mind sitting Reeves. I get everybody's point to keep saying that because of his lack of offensive production. But when the captain of the team goes on record in a press conference and says, when we get big 7-5 back, people will stop chirping, that's obviously pissing them off. It's obviously, when you got the head coach saying some teams can get in your head, you got the coach saying it and the captain saying it. It's got to be that they're in your head and they're talking shit. Well,
does he not lead the league in hits? Or he did. He did until he got hurt.
It's either him or Carrier. Yeah. 1 year was Carrier, 1 year. So I believe that there you go. Adam sums it up. I mean, Reeves is his presence alone. He's the number one fighter. Adam did the story on that a couple of seasons ago. He's the number one fighter in the league. I mean, that doesn't mean that you're a great hockey player, offensive production-wise, but when you're on the ice, you're not going to talk as much
his
shit
job's
as you
not
do
to
when
score
he's
goals.
not coming in the game. Yeah,
his job is to go out and dominate physically and to make life miserable for the other team. That's his job.
And keep their mouths shut. And you know what? The fourth line's execution, just in terms of keeping the puck out of the zone, and a lot of times it's to make sure that the puck stays in the offensive zone or away from Fleury or Leonard, whatever, until the fresh legs come out there. And they've done a great job of getting the dirty work, the greasy work, get up against the boards, wearing down the opposition to give the top three lines, the production lines, rest. So they're doing their job. Yeah. Reeves is as essential as anybody else because of the role that he plays. Absolutely. As Dave said, his job is not to score goals.
No, his job is to be as physical as possible. Not fighting. Okay, it's not the fighting. It's the banging. Okay, you want to let the other team know that if they go in the corner to get a puck, they're not gonna have it easy. Somebody's gonna get knocked around. And he's improved greatly since he's gotten here at not taking stupid penalties.
Yeah.
When he first arrived from Pittsburgh, I mean, it's like open the penalty box door because Reeves is going to be visiting shortly. But he's he's tremendously, And then I think he had the suit and tie on for a couple of games after that. And he's improved. He's become a very positive guy on this team, and he does a great job. They're a better team when he's on the ice. Okay.
The first two,
No,
the first two.
I don't mean this to be offensive, but when you say stuff like this, AJ, you know more than Pete DeBoer, evidently. There's a reason Reeves is playing. Okay, and we've explained what it is. Apparently, you're not getting that. He is an important guy on the team, even though it doesn't show up in the stat sheet. It does show up on one stat, the hit stat. And hitting is, might not be a fighting game anymore in the NHL, but it's still as physical as it's ever been. Okay? It's just not as dirty. They've gotten that stuff out of the game. Reeves isn't a dirty player, by the way.
No.
He'll rough it up sometimes. He can get nasty, but he is a physical player, and there's nothing wrong. In fact, it's a very important facet of the game, is having the personnel on the other team know that when 75's around, you're probably going to get banged. Nobody wants to get hit, and that can definitely mess with the other team. And it might well be, you can't measure it statistically, but there are guys who might not go for the puck in the corner when they know Reeves is going to be there with him.
And you know what? You nailed it where you said he's not a dirty player. You know who takes since year one?
Kadri is
and
a
another
dirty player.
and another player.
Wow.
Yeah, and another player since he got here. You know who at times gets frustrated and will take silly penalties? Jonathan Marchessault, since year one, he gets frustrated at times and he takes silly penalties. And Max Pacioretty, one of the first things we notice is he that first season he arrived, he would sort of take extra time on the boards as the puck was leaving, that little 0.6 of a second, whatever it is, and take unnecessary hits. The following season, he tailed that off a little bit. And I remember asking him, I said, it seems as if that you've geared yourself toward going toward the puck a little bit more. And he laughed at the question and said, you know what? I have stopped making that extra hit at times. He didn't say anything about penalties, but there were times that it led to unnecessary penalties. Yeah. And both there, so there's two of your best offensive forwards who take unnecessary penalties at times because they get frustrated and they get a little too overzealous with their physicality. Where Reeves is just a physical guy and doesn't take unnecessary penalties. Yes, he did when he first got those first two games. They were back-to-back against the Kings. And it's funny because Adam was in the locker room. I was in the locker room. We were there. And when the cameras go off and the recorders go off, Reeves is fantastic conversation. And he's told us teams and players that he just does not like. And the Kings were a team at that time. I don't know how he feels now. That was 4 years ago. But, and Gallant had a talk with him, said, hey, we're not here. We don't need you to go out there. This is what you're here for, so on and so forth. He didn't get benched and wear the suit and tie because of those two games. But though at times he was up in the press box and he was a healthy scratch and in the playoffs too until the Stanley Cup came around and Tom Wilson was on the ice. Of course, Washington won games 2 through 5, and that was it. But bottom line is Reeves doesn't take unnecessary penalties. He gets called for what he gets called for, but he's not blatant and he's not dirty.
No, the Golden Knights as a team are pretty good about not taking stupid penalties. I mean, every team takes some. That's just part of the game. But they're a pretty smart team. And meanwhile, Colorado looks, good luck to anybody trying to beat that team. Oh. They didn't even play well tonight, and they win 5-1.
How big was the number one seed?
Put Adam's quote, right? Put Adam's comment up.
Honestly, I that's pretty good. I don't know how big it is. It would have been nice, but home ice advantage in the NHL is in the playoffs really isn't that meaningful. It never has been.
I just mean in this first matchup, Dave, to freaking have a cakewalk past the Blues as opposed to having to go tooth and nail with the Wild. And this series is not going to be a quick series against the Wild.
No, although I think Colorado will have also made quick work of the Wild. They're just awfully good. They're just so fat. Again, tonight, they actually got outplayed for a good portion of tonight's game. I mean, the Blues were desperate, and
Perron's still out, right?
yeah. Not that it doesn't really matter.
Well, he's their leading scorer.
Well, I know, but they don't have a chance in this series. They don't have a chance. It's if St. Louis wins Game 4, I'll be surprised. I mean, they gave it all they had tonight, and the score was misleading. I thought the Blues actually played a good game tonight, but they got beat 5-1. The speed on that team is just incredible, and even the fourth line is fast. They've got 4. I mean, it's all jet propelled, and the McKinnon line is ridiculous, and Makar is unstoppable. I don't know how they're going to get beat 4 games by anybody.
Colorado or Vegas will give them a series. I don't know if it's going 7, but they'll give them a series. They're not going to sweep Vegas. They're not going to come here.
No, I don't think they will. And the Knights, I think you can make a good argument. The Knights might be the second best team in the league. So, unfortunately, they're going to have to beat the best team in the league in the second round.
Is that for game? That's for game. That's for tomorrow, Brady.
Yeah. The Knights are much bigger than that in the series.
I think the way that they responded and they won, I mean, it wouldn't shock me to see them win tomorrow and then wrap it up Monday, just because of the way that they pulled that off. It was closer. I mean, they just dominated.
Yeah.
They it's a matter of did they figure it out, and are they going to carry it over? That's the key.
Well, they've got the momentum, that's for sure. And look, I think there's a sense of urgency on the Knights. It's like we need to get this over in 5, because we don't want that other team. I mean, they're not dumb. They know that the next round, not looking past this round, but the next round is going to be a tremendous challenge, and you don't want to give the Avalanche an added advantage of having extra time off to just relax and take it easy. They're going to have to go out there, and you talk about a series where Reeves is going to be important. He's got to go out there and do some banging in that Colorado series and set the tone.
Yeah, that's true right there.
And you saw
they went up.
So
they went up. Yeah, so if they win, if they sweep, he's got 6 more games after that. So he could miss the whole series.
Kadri is hardly the most important guy on the Avalanche. Sometimes I think they're better off without him. He's a dirty player. I'm surprised he only got 8 games, considering his history.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. I mean, it was a filthy hit, and that kind of stuff to me, I wouldn't have a problem if they sat up for 20 games.
Him and he laid him out.
Well, that was look. What happened to Tavares was accidental. Okay.
That was horrible.
But what happened?
Scary.
What Kadri did was just flat out dirty. And that to me has no place in the game. There's going to be rough collisions, and Tavares might be gone for the rest of the year. We don't know that. We don't know the extent of the concussion, but I mean, it was a brutal hit. But it wasn't illegal. It was accidental.
Yeah, it was. Tom Wilson is he throws shots like that too.
Yeah. Wilson he's an enforcer who can also score some goals.
He did that to Marchessault in the Stanley Cup final.
Now Wilson, I think Wilson, if you surveyed NHL players on top 5 dirty players, I think Wilson's going to end up on everybody's list.
The Athletic actually did that. I want to say year 2 that the Golden Knights were here. The Athletic did it because I remember Jesse Granger telling me that they silently did a poll in every city. Every Athletic NHL writer asked the team they covered, and they did a poll, and Brad Marchand came back as the.
Oh well, yeah, but Marchand, and he'll still needle you to death, but he's become such a tremendous offensive player. He doesn't do a lot of the stuff he used to do.
No,
he's too valuable now. He's just too valuable offensively. He's one of the best scorers in the league.
Ever since they went to the final against the Blues, that he's clicked on offense and with that line, and and all those guys, Pasternak and all that. They've
That line
really
is a phenomenal line.
Yep. But anyway, that was that. When you said that, it reminded me the poll that they did of any NHL players, and Jesse was a little surprised. He told me that Brad came back as the number one guy. He thought for sure it was going to be Wilson. Reeves' name came up among other cities, but it wasn't in the top 5. I just remember him saying that it was Brad was number one.
I think somebody said Toronto and Edmonton are in trouble. Well, Toronto needs to win tomorrow. Obviously, they're down 1 game. It's hardly a recipe for disaster at this point, but they are going to be missing Tavares, and that gave Montreal some life. I think the Leafs will bounce back and have a good game tomorrow. Edmonton, though, down 2-0
and headed to Winnipeg. I'm shocked.
And the top line has 0. They've only scored 1 goal in 2 games, and the top line has nothing. And boy, they make excuses for goalies all the time. Well, he screened. Mike Smith had a good game, bad finish. You got to make that save. I mean, that was a bad goal that he let in for the game winner in the overtime tonight.
Former Golden Knight Paul Stastny.
When you got somebody directly in front of you, I can see where there was nobody right that close in front of him. He just whiffed. Okay. Yeah, with all that equipment and a big glove, you got to make that save. And I think Mike Smith would be the first one to admit that. So they're in trouble. Hellebuck was tremendous tonight, and Winnipeg. When they lost to Calgary last year in the playoffs, they were missing 2 really important cogs from their offense. They're healthy now for the most part, healthier than they were, and they got to be feeling a lot of confidence right now. I would agree with Truth and Duluth. The winner of the North, will be the worst. Will be the worst of the 4 finals, 4 finalists.
Yeah, their hope to bring the cup back to Canada is not looking too hot.
Well, they're reseeding, so I don't even know who's going to be playing who. But no, I mean, I don't think the Leafs are the best team in the division, and they're not the 4th best team in the league.
No, I think we're going to be seeing the 2 best teams, like you said. I think we're going to be seeing the 2 best teams in the West Final, and the winner of that series. They have the inside track. I mean, that's going to be the best team left. Is Vegas or Colorado? So,
but that's the one beauty of the NHL is you never really know in that league because somebody can get hot. And it's not like Carolina's a bunch of stiffs, by the way. They lost tonight to Nashville, but they're good. And they've got 4 good lines. So they could be really interesting if they make it to the Stanley Cup Finals. But they've got to get through their own division first. And Tampa seems to be rounding into form at the right time. So it's going to be fun. Playoffs, the NHL playoffs are the best thing around.
It really is. We have our season ticket group. My rotation is up for Monday, so Jordan's taking one of his fitness clients. They're going to be sitting in the seat, so he's looking forward to that. And they're going to be up over 11,000. That Steve, you and I, we talked about it on your afternoon show the other day. That even with 8,000, 86-23 or 83-20, so whatever it is, whatever half of 17-3 something is, it's been loud. It's been loud. It's been enthusiastic. Even the players said that it's one of the Wild made comment after game 1. I think it was Eriksson Ek, kid that scored the game winner, said that they were feeding off the energy from the crowd. So 11,000 in there is going to that added 3,000. You're going to be able to feel it. Not just hear it, but feel it.
You know what's weird is watching the games in the Canada division. Because there's still nobody there. And it's like watching games from a mausoleum. Yeah. The atmosphere is it's zero. I mean, that was a tense 0-0 game tonight between Winnipeg and Edmonton. And it's like, there's no crowd here. And you can really tell the difference. Whereas the Nashville, they had 12,000 plus, I believe, in Nashville tonight. That crowd was really fired up. And they won the game in double overtime.
Yeah. Yeah, I was trying to. I can't remember what game I was watching. It was still during the regular season. It might have been when the other three divisions had started their playoffs, and the North was still finishing up their regular season. And I was watching something, a highlight or a game. It was on the NHL Network. I can't remember, but it was. I was trying to remember the beginning of the regular season and what it was like, and I can't even remember what it was like inside T-Mobile, other than the piped-in music. And I think there was a Friday night that the three of us talked about it, but I just don't remember. I can't even remember that far, like just what it was like in there now. Empty.
Well, it's more fun now, and good question by Brady. I don't know what's going to happen there. It's conceivable they're not going to play any games. Can the American teams travel there? They might not be able to.
Yeah, there's speculation. There's speculation they would find a home base in the U.S., but I'm not sure where it would be. I know Glendale was under consideration, or at least was some early chatter.
Well, that'd be good because the Coyotes are used to having their building filled with fans from other teams anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
That franchise, the NHL might want to consider moving that franchise.
Yeah. Chicago wouldn't be a bad idea.
No,
I wonder
Buffalo.
if they would have to, if they would want to do it because of the opposition. So if they would want to do it somewhere parallel, so Toronto to Buffalo, because if it's Edmonton, if they want to keep it, so that way the teams are going to have to travel the distance that they might normally have to, or something similar.
Well, Buffalo's easy.
Right. And so, I mean, instead of, I think maybe they need to, Brady says move it to Henderson. Everything's going to Henderson. The A's.
Yeah, so there you go. NHL wants a team in the same conference, non-playoff NHL city, so we'll see.
That's still a couple weeks down the road, so who knows what will happen between now and then.
Let's close and spend a couple minutes on some baseball. Dave, did we get your take on La Russa? I don't know that we talked to you since all this stuff rolled out there.
I don't know why he's putting a 3-0 take sign on in the first place.
Yeah.
Shut up. But the Mercedes did what he was supposed to do. I don't care if what the sign was. The other team put a position guy on the mound. Okay, they're disrespecting the game more than Mercedes is for doing his job, which is to hit the baseball. Okay, and by the way, you hit a 47-mile-an-hour pitch 400 feet. It's pretty impressive.
You gotta love Dave. Dave almost going to saying to Tony La Russa, "Fuck off, old man."
Well, he could be 27 and have an old man attitude.
Yep. Well, Rocco Baldelli does. He's acting like it was a cardinal sin. He's 39 years old.
Well, hey, Rocco, you know what? Don't put an overweight catcher on the mound to pitch. He had understand something. They had 5 pitchers in the bullpen, all available. So that's a bunch of bullshit. Okay. By the way, I didn't see any complaints tonight out of the.
They laughed it off.
No, the Atlanta game tonight.
Atlanta game. Yep.
Yeah. They brought Wilmer Defoe in. He gave up 8 runs.
Yep.
I didn't see anybody after the game saying they should have been taking it. Was disrespectful. Get the fuck out of here.
Dave, the manager.
This isn't Little League.
He joked. He was like, Defoe didn't have his best stuff tonight and laughed.
Yeah.
And by the way, at least that guy came in. He was throwing like 85 to 88 miles an hour. At least he wasn't friggin' lobbing him up there.
Right.
In a Major League Baseball game.
Yeah. No, I'm glad Mercedes ignored the take sign and hit it out. And hopefully no more managers will do that. I mean, La Russa, I'm not knocking La Russa, the job he's done so far, because the White Sox are playing great baseball. They lost tonight, but they're a tremendously exciting team. And he's got them playing real good ball. But, I mean, that sounded something out of the 1920s.
Is there any chance that the team friggin' implodes from here, or they get over it quick?
They already are over it.
Well, they didn't win tonight.
Okay,
they might get their ass kicked by the Yankees this weekend.
Could be.
Yeah.
But they're fine. They're real good. I mean,
I know they're real good.
I think the I think they might be the best team in baseball this year. When you consider that two of their best offensive players, are hurt.
Yep.
They just kill lefties, although they didn't tonight. They're really good.
Who won, the Dodgers or Giants tonight?
Dodgers 2-1.
Yep.
So
Chris
the
Taylor.
Padres are in first now?
Are they tied?
Or is it tied? Were they one game back? I don't know.
think
I
they
know
were
that
game
I knew
back.
by the end of the weekend considering the fact that they're playing the Mariners and the Giants got the Dodgers, I knew that by the end of the weekend the Padres could be in first.
Yeah, I don't pay much attention to standings in May. But the Giants remain a surprise. They gave him a good battle tonight, but Chris Taylor hit the 2-run homer, and Bauer was tremendous in 6 and change innings that he was out there, and they nipped the Giants. But this Giants team they play with a chip on their shoulder. They've clearly not bought into the fact they're supposed to be terrible, and they played great ball.
Steve, you're an announcer, color guy. Did you see the tweet? And then Paul Gutierrez's wife, Amy, who works for the Giants, she does like she's like, I don't know if she does sideline with her. Anyway,
Like me,
she quoted the tweet. And so Bauer strikes him, and he's like a sword.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's walking off, and the play-by-play goes, and Bauer celebrating as he walks off the mound, and his color guy goes, "That was weak." It was all salty because he did the whatever, the little exuberation there off the mound coming off. It was sour and just weak. And someone whatever the tweet with the video was, well, the play-by-play guys aren't happy.
Yeah.
And
it's part of the rivalry. I mean, if they're genuinely angry, I whatever, it adds to the rivalry. If the announcers don't like the other team, and it's Dodgers and Giants, so it's awesome. I'm fine with that. Did you see Dave? Did you see what Dave Roberts said after the game?
No.
The Giants and the Dodgers game. He goes, it just felt like a real rivalry game, and we haven't had that in quite some time.
Ooh, Padres might put that on the bulletin board.
Well, I saw someone who does radio in San Diego was like, whoa, you see this? Okay. Little kick in the nuts to the Padres.
This could be a fun summer in the West Coast. Because, the Giants, admittedly, they've beaten up on some bad teams, but you still got to win the games. And it'd be a lot of fun if these teams are playing each other 19 times apiece and the games really matter. It's going to add to the excitement. Meanwhile, Arizona and Colorado, they just ought to play each other all the time so that they don't have to play anybody else.
Yeah, my Rockies lean over 63 ain't looking too good.
I have the under on
16 and 29.
That's one of 4 bets I made.
You told me, you're like, don't go over. They're not good.
No, they're going to get worse because probably going to trade Trevor Story at some point, and he's their best player.
Charlie Blackmon. You got to get something for him too.
I don't know what they'll get for Blackmon. I know, but Story's a free agent, so that's going to be a rental. They've almost got to trade him. They won't get a lot for him because he's a rental, but they'll get something of some value, I suppose. They might be bad for quite some time. The Diamondbacks at least have some upside in terms of prospects, and they've had a lot of guys hurt this year. But the Rockies, that organization's, they could be in for a 5-year run in last place.
Jesus, not good, not good.
Fortunately, from what I'm told, it's a nice ballpark. I've never been there, but it's right down the street from a lot of good stuff.
Oh, it's awesome.
So at least there's still reason to go to the games.
Willie, so you got boxing tomorrow? You doing the Aces on Sunday?
I'm not sure if I'm going to go out there. I might just watch it. Just depends. I don't know. I've been resting this eye. I don't know what the hell I got. In fact, she couldn't. My eye doctor couldn't figure it out. If it was just irritation or infection, but she gave me some antibiotics mixed with steroids. It actually felt better by the time tip off tonight. So I probably could have went out to Mandalay, but I told John Maxwell, I was like, I'm not going to take a seat when I'm not covering it, and I don't need to be out there. And so I just, but I got to cover the boxing. So, I always tell people I'm not driving into town unless I'm getting paid. So, I don't know if I'm going to drive into town. So But we got to do a little old Vegas real quick before we log off.
What do you got?
So there was a post on Facebook, and there was these shareable little graphics. It says the one that I saw today was it's May 1987 in Las Vegas on a Saturday night. What are you doing, Dave? What were you doing in 1987 in Las Vegas back then?
Hell if I know.
So I quoted it and just put.
What were you actually doing then? Who are you working for?
In
In 87.
Let's see.
Himself,
What night? What night of the week is it?
Saturday.
It
says it was Saturday.
Saturday?
Saturday night.
So probably was at the Stardust.
Stardust line. Yeah.
Were you with
ahead.
Feist at that point or not?
No, that was a couple of years. I was doing some ghostwriting, but I think I started doing Proline in '89, I believe.
How'd you get on his radar?
Oh, I'd known Jim for a long time.
Yeah.
I'd known Jim, I don't know, since for at least 10 years before that.
Yeah. And you were doing it all on your own?
Yeah.
All right. Dave's like, yeah. Well, I mean, you've been working with people on and off for a long time. I don't know if you were working with Jim at that point.
No, I think I had my own setup at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, Willie, I can't answer it. I wasn't here. And like Rick, I was actually a junior in high school, so I wasn't drunk. I was a good kid. I was a good kid. I was probably playing basketball. I had a friend who had a court, so we used to meet over there. I was probably playing hoops.
Well, I shared the graphic and I put, oh, that's easy. I was at Tramps. And Tramps was a nightclub on the corner of Flamingo and Arville. Caddy corner from the AM PM that's still there. I believe it's now called Bourbon Street. It's a 2-story. It looks like it's 2-story. I don't know what it is, but it's in Bourbon. It's
Tramps?
a Bourbon.
Yeah. So Tramps. What did Tramps become? The Loose Caboose, same building?
Yes. Then Loose Caboose, and then whatever it is now. Bourbon.
That was a big club there, huh?
That was a major.
Tramps was big time. Yeah.
Tramps was major, and if you look from Tramps down on that side of the road, it was desert. There was no palms. There was no all those fast food joints. And then if you look down the opposite side, past AM PM, you saw the Gold Coast. There was no Rio yet either. So all you could see all the way down was that power plant that's down there. There were no apartments down there yet. So anyway, here I am. I graduated in 1986 at 17. By September, maybe August, September sometime, I was taking $40 out of the ATM machine. $20 was getting palmed to Woody Germany, who was the head doorman and the manager. The other $20
getting palmed.
Yeah, and the other 20 was getting Long Island iced teas. They were $4 in a tall tumbler, and the dollar was a tip. So over the course of 4 hours, at 12, 1, 2, 3 in the morning, I was getting a Long Island iced tea and getting tanked for $20. The shot girl was a tequila girl. They had to buy their own tequila bottles, and when they get to the bottom of it, they come around to if they knew you, they have to come back with an empty bottle and then buy a new one. They couldn't bring it like if there was a couple of shots left, so they would give them away to who they knew. So we get free shots of tequila, and it cost me $20 to drink all night. So $40, I was out for the night. Now you can't even get around to drinks for that, right? So anyway, now here's the crazy thing: on Sundays at Tramps, the line would go down the sidewalk and toward the back of the building because DJ Frankie, who's been credited with bringing hip hop to Las Vegas in '81, he had the dance contest. And back then, when Star Search was on, the Rhythm Kings and the break dancers and the people from the show Splash and some of the showgirls, they would put routines together and they'd have this monstrous dance contest. They'd put it up like 2 a.m. once because they know all the people from the shows. They got out of there at midnight. They go to the Splash Bar over at the Riviera, and then they come over. So it wouldn't start till fucking 3:30 in the morning sometimes. We'd walk out of there, it'd be daylight, 6:30 in the morning. And Sunday night, Friday and Saturdays were packed like a nightclub. Sundays was the spot. I mean, it was the nuts. It was a 4-day weekend. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday to recover. So one night I come out, I had a '68 Volkswagen Bug. And on that post that I put on Facebook earlier when I said I was at Tramps, my mom commented later and she goes, and I was in the parking lot. Because one night I come out at whatever time it was, and there's a note on my windshield. Because her 17-year-old son is getting into nightclubs, and this was all unfamiliar to her as far as, her son going out to the club, which is funny because when my uncle and the crew built Jubilation, Paul Lincoln's Jubilation on Harmon, and it was the most popular, she was always at the clubs. So it was just funny because it was all written out. William, it is X amount, whatever time it was in the morning. I can't believe that I've driven down here and searched for your car. You're lucky I haven't come in to get you. It was the funniest thing. I saved it, and it's one of the handful of stories that we carry over some however many years later, right? 34 years later of we just say Miriam. That's my mom's name. So me and my buddies to this day that we used to hang at Trumps, a Miriam story we throw out there. And so anyway, yeah, Brady.
William, you done fucked up.
Yeah, it wasn't just like a post-it note either. It was fucking a letter, salutation and shit. William, blah, blah, blah. It is X amount of time in the morning. And she had driven because we lived on Flamingo and Rainbow, where the pink house is. If you get your tickets fixed, that house. So that was Spring Valley, and back then that was the top of Flamingo. One more block, you got to Tenaya. It was desert. There was nothing beyond that. Right. So Spring Valley was like living in Silverstone or some shit out in the Northwest. Nice neighborhood.
When you said it, I'm like, Willie, it's right down the road. I mean, so it's not far.
Yeah.
But back then, that's the
Spring Valley. Those were really nice homes at that time.
Yeah, those duplex. They were like, that was a nice place to live. It was right next to Spanish Trail. That was a big deal. So she had driven all the way down Flamingo, and there were no lights in between. Each stop: Rainbow, Jones, Decatur, Arville, boom. So she just knew that's where I'd be, and so yeah. Anyway, that was.
I saw on this thread, someone said they went to the NCO club. What is that? Any clue?
I don't.
Sherry said first at the NCO club, then uptown, then steak and eggs at the Horseshoe.
Oh, Sherry. So Sherry is that's DJ Rob's sister, and Rob was a big time DJ back then. Let me go through this thread to see. So Shark Club. Someone put Shark Club, and I said, I don't think that
a couple people said Shark. So Sandra said Tramps, Sharks, Mr. G's, or some kind of desert gig on Losi, breakfast at Noggles, Gold Coast, Silver Slipper, or Peppermill. Said there was an after hours club. Was what a leak? I don't understand the last part.
Okay, so Tramps, Shark. So Shark Club opened. I want to say I told someone else this. Shark Club opened on like their big thing. I think they opened with a big Halloween party. So I don't know if, and I believe it was in 1987. I don't think they opened in 86. I thought it was in 87 because Tramps had been really picking up steam. It was the place to go. The old brewery, which was on Paradise and Jubilation's rivalry, had been out of business by then, and it was now called the Premier nightclub. So Premier was big. Botany's, which had been around for ages. Dave, I know you remember Botany's on East Flamingo. Yep. That was still around. But Shark opened up. Mr. G's was on East Sahara, way down on East Sahara, just before where the Spring Fever, which we've talked about, was.
We talked about Spring Fever. Yeah. We all love Spring Fever, not Dave. Yeah. We all love Spring Fever. I love the concept. I never got to go there.
NCO, isn't that like a military?
Yeah, that's what they're all saying.
Yeah, so I think it must have been that. So and you know what? That makes sense because Sherry and Rob, that's where they grew up. They lived out there where El Dorado High School is. They went to El Dorado, and that's out that way off Nelson out there. So that would make sense. But basically, back then you were going. The other thing that they had, which was kind of cool, was there were two music producers, DJ Ivan and Diamond Dave. Those were their nicknames. Those were their stage names or whatever. They had a production studio on Valley View and Flamingo. Well, they would throw what were called power dances once a month at the convention center, the old convention center, when it was still small, and the rotunda, I think the rotunda was still there. Anyway, and they would promote it on Power 97 radio station. And they'd have this promoter's license, which you couldn't get after a certain year. And they would host these huge dances in a huge convention room. And they would just have the stage with stereo and big music. And they'd have live acts that they were producing at the studio. And they'd perform midway through the dance. And they charge $5 at the door. So here are these two guys. And, Diamond Dave was younger than me. Ivan was maybe a year or two older than me. And then you'd have I don't know how many thousands of kids running through the door, $5-10 a head, no alcohol. They'd have to pay. Dave and Ivan would have to pay for security and Metro out of pocket. And then to be there, Metro it'd be overtime fees that they would pay you'd have to fund Metro. You'd have to have security on hand. But like I said, you have five, it was promoted. And by that time, the teen nightclub, That's Entertainment, had shut down. So there was nothing else for teens to do unless you could get in. And back then, fake IDs or if you knew somebody. So for me, they'd have the power dance. And here I am, 17, 18. I'd be going to the power dance at 8:30, 9 o'clock, and then leaving there and going straight to Tramps. So it'd be even longer night. So there was a lot of opportunities.
Vegas was a hell of a place to grow up, when it was a lot smaller. And you could get everywhere pretty quickly. One last question. Brady was asking if you could bring back one old club, restaurant, casino. Dave, you have a restaurant or a casino that closed maybe shortly after 87? And you're like,
what closed much later than that, but Andres downtown.
Yeah, that's right. You talked about that last week. You loved it.
If I could bring back a restaurant, it would the nightclub side of it I never experienced, but it would be my grandfather's and uncle's Jubilation, because it wasn't, everybody knew it as a nightclub, but the food was phenomenal. And it's actually, people went there for the ribs. And Gilbert was the chef. And he actually, when Jubilee shut down, Freddie picked him up and he retired as the chef at Piero's. He was over at Piero's. Yep. He just retired a year or two ago. So as far as a nightclub, if I could have the same vibe and the same crowd and the same element, and it wasn't this big fucking town like it is, I would probably have to say Tramps. Tramps was, because that's when the town was at its best, in my opinion, as far as going out in the night circuit. As far as that, I don't want to use the word intimate because it wasn't quiet in any way, shape, or form, but it was the personality and the characters in this town. It was just perfect. And as the town got bigger, Shark Club probably was, from there was it. I mean, from my era, I don't, jazz clubs played against Sam's before it became a strip club.
Yeah. All right. Well, good deal, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks, Dave. Willie,
it's a pleasure.
Appreciate it. We'll check in next week. Okay. Thanks everybody watching. Thanks for a good week. See ya. Have a good weekend.